If we could start, sorry, Bill and I, Ron is on the road again. He asked us to fill in for him. So we'll start personnel. Is there anything for courtesy of the floor?
If you're on the Zoom call, raise your hand. On the phone, dial *9.
If we could start, sorry, Bill and I, Ron is okay, Aileen, I could hear you, but I don't hear anybody else. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't see. There's no hands.
Okay, moving on. A review of the county executive's reappointments. Bill, are you ready to take it or do you want me to do it?
He's got to unmute if he's on.
All right. The first one is Philip Gaffro from Stonebridge Lane, Easton, term to expire 3/17/26. Lehigh Valley Planning Commission elected official would be Philip is a reappointment. A reappointment to Lehigh Valley Planning Commission would be Janelle Connolly from Hazen Avenue in Penargil. Term to expire 12/31/21. And there are several reappointments to the Personnel Appeals Board. Carly Biggs Sepia, James Irwin, Harold Levy, Anthony Tony Pristash, and Thomas J. Schlegel. All terms to expire on 2/3/23.
We need a motion for that?
Yes.
I'll make a
Or well,
motion.
actually, any discussion on the aforementioned people? No discussion. Can I have a motion to move them all forward to council tonight?
Motion.
Thank you. And a review of a personnel request for court administration, a domestic relations pretrial services position. Conference Officer 1, pay grade CP 22-1A, salary $45,127 shall be eliminated. And one full-time position of pretrial administrative case officer, pay grade CP 22-1A, same salary shall be created in the court administration.
Did we get any, are we open for discussion now?
Yes, but is there anybody here who wants to speak to this position or the rationale?
Yeah, that was my question.
Yeah, that's me. Jermaine Green's here.
Hi,
finally
Jermaine.
finally found out how to unmute myself.
Okay.
I can hear you.
You want to put your video up so we can see your face?
I'm having a problem doing that, but you don't want to see my face. I'm looking at all that eagle stuff behind you.
I got a question for you, Jermaine.
Yes.
These are two full-time positions. Were they part of your budget for this year?
No, we're eliminating one position and creating the other one. We're eliminating one in domestics because they indicated they don't need that position any longer because they've had decreased caseload, and our pretrial services office has an increased caseload. So I just want to transfer that over to pretrial services. So it's a wash.
Okay. All right.
But before we start, I wanted to say, Madam President, congratulations on your election as County Council President. I wanted to congratulate you on behalf of the judiciary, and we look forward to working with you, Ms. Heff.
Thank you.
Okay. Are you done, sucking up?
Listen, here you go. Contrary to people's belief, Lori and I have placed things in the past, and like I said, we're looking forward to working together. We've had great conversations, and I look forward to that. So,
Okay.
That's right. Owls always stick together, right, Jermaine?
that's it. We got it.
Okay. With that said, while you happen to be here, I want to make a point to you that I want to schedule some meetings, the courts and corrections, that we don't, one that we do 2 or 3 this year. I will get with your office and we'll do that. There's, along with the DA and everybody else. All right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I look forward to that. Absolutely, sir.
The president has put forth an effort for me to be more responsive with that committee. So we're going to schedule these 3 meetings this year. Okay.
Perfect. I look forward to it.
All right.
And so if I can interrupt, is there anybody has any more specific questions for Jermaine, or are we ready to put this, it's an even swap, no extra money? It seems
No
like,
extra money.
I think I'll motion.
okay, so moved. It will be heard this evening. Thank you, Jermaine.
All right, thank
Thank
you
you,
guys. I
everyone.
appreciate it. Take care.
And with that, I can conclude the personnel portion of this evening's festivities and turn it over to Bill McGee for finance.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Finance Committee. First order of business is anyone from the public, do they have any courtesy of the floor at this time?
If anyone has a comment, please either raise your hand in Zoom or dial *9 on your phone. Just not seeing any.
Not hearing any, we'll move on with the first order of business.
You have one, Bill.
Oh, I do. Okay. Can you
Mr. Heckman,
Can you hear me?
Yes.
now,
Oh, okay. I finally got myself unmuted. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Is that public comment? That is?
Yeah, I want to complain
Apparently.
about how long you have to wait at doctor's offices.
Okay. Hopefully everybody's okay. And
I hope so.
okay, we'll move along here to the first order of business in the Finance Committee. Moving along after courtesy of the floor, we have the Controller's Report.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Mr. Michelle.
hello,
You hear me? You hear me? well?
yes,
Okay. Well, I couldn't say any more congratulations to Lori because Carrie gonna give me a hard time, so I'm not gonna say it. But Lori, you know very well that we are welcoming you and thank you for Ron. So looking forward for the 2021 year. We'll be working together.
thank you, Tony.
And congratulations to Bill, by the way. I'm happy for you, Mr. McGee. From the controller's report, for the controller's report, you received the archives, cash collection EUP, the MDJ Manwaring, MDJ Tashner, MDJ Yetter, and MDJ Hulk. The only thing is tonight we have with us Tony Sabino, Controller's Office Audit Manager. Tony will continue from here and discuss the report. I'm staying on, and Tony had just a couple notes to provide you. Any
Hello,
questions?
hi, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. I'll go quickly through these. I'll do the archives cash collection one first. These are ones that we do periodically, every 4 years. Every area that receives cash, we take a look at every 4 years. And the archives was up at this point, and we make sure that all the segregation of duties is okay, and we do a sample of receipts to make sure that they are deposited in the correct fashion. And we had no findings, no negative findings with regard to this. We find that function is operating well. Do I have any questions on that?
No, don't see any.
Nope. Okay, great. I'll move on to our magisterial district judges. The first one I'll do is probably Jacqueline Tashner. The reason I'm going to do that one first is because we had no findings in that, and as I think I've mentioned in prior meetings, that a financial audit report exists to certify a financial statement, which is what we do with the magisterial district judges. But if we have findings in the audit, we have an internal control letter that goes attached to that, and we put those findings in the report. In the case of Tashner, we had no findings, and the financial statements are accurate per our audit. Do we have any questions on the Tashner report?
I have one question, Bill, if you don't mind me asking.
Certainly. No, go ahead. That's why I'm here.
It's December of 2018 to December of 2019.
Yes.
What about 20?
Oh, well, that's 20 we do them in 20 isn't done yet, basically. We do them in a delayed fashion. So we'll do those 2 years in our next cycle that we do for Tashner. So the cycle we were doing for all of the MDJs in 2020 were the 18-19s.
Okay.
So this year we'll be doing the 20, or there is a cycle where we do 19 and 20, and then the next cycle will be 2021. We split them up. Half of the MDJs are done in one year, and half of them are done in another year, and we stagger the cycles, which is a 2-year cycle.
Answered my question.
Okay. Any other questions on Tashner? No. Okay. I will move on to Robert Hawk. That one did have one finding, and we had a number of voided transactions that were not properly approved by the MDJ. There are rules and regulations with regard to who has the authority to ultimately void a transaction, and sometimes they forget to get the initials of the MDJ on those. Other than that, that was the only finding in that audit, and the financial statement is accurate as we state in the audit. Any questions on MDJ Hawk? Okay, I will move on to Manwaring. Manwaring had, was that one or two? No, one finding there, and that one is a little bit controversial because MDJ Manwaring is currently allowing the constables to have key access to the secretarial area within that office, and that is a violation of standards that are set by the deputy court administrator. And so we noted it in our audit, and his response basically says that he's not in agreement with that, and he thinks he should be allowed to have key access to, the constable should have key access. Now, we point out that he is the only one that we know of that gives key access to somebody who is not a county employee, and we feel it is an unwise thing to do. And it doesn't matter anyway, because he's definitely violating a directive from the deputy court administrator. So we have to note that in our audit. So we have a little bit of a controversy and a conflict between us and the MDJ on this particular issue. Any questions on Manwaring?
Just one question. Where does that go? I mean, you guys are auditors. You do what your job is, and then it just moves along, right? It'll go to, I guess it'll go to the county, solicitor, I guess. Yep.
Well, these audits, the MDJ audits, go to the deputy court administrator and the court administrator, and they can do with them what they will. Now, we only have the authority to make recommendations. So we make that recommendation, and the people who have the authority, and I guess in the case of the MDJs, it's a little bit gray in that I think some of the MDJs feel they have ultimate authority, but I think the deputy court administrator feels that she has some authority as well over all of the MDJs. So there are instances where I think there are conflicts between the two of them, and we sort of get in the middle of that. And that's the situation here. Ultimately, I don't know who would win this particular conflict that we see here. As I said, if this was not a directive from the deputy court administrator, we probably would already find it anyway, because we feel it is an internal control problem as well as a violation of the directive. But again, the only authority we have to do is to recommend.
Mike, I have a question.
Yep, sure.
Is Jermaine Green still around? Because he is ultimately a guy that should
correct. He is the one who is the court administrator that could address whether or not there's any action that would be needed to be taken here to enforce the deputy court administrator's directives.
Yeah, my question then to our solicitor is, do we have any say in this? Chris?
As you receive the report, you should know that Deborah French is the assistant court administrator in charge of the district magistrates. Ultimately, President Judge Corey, in my understanding, is the supervisor and the final arbiter of the district magistrates. I would say that I am aware that over the last year and a half, there have been some skirmishes, whether they be about cell phone numbers or allowing constables to have access to the office. But frankly, that's for Court Administrator Green, Deputy Court Administrator French, under the supervision and authority of President Judge Corey.
And that's how we see it as well.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. So we really don't have a lot to say about it. It's going to be up to that end of our county judicial system to straighten that out.
Correct.
Thank you.
So these are, FYI type of situations, just to keep you aware of the things that are going on in our office and in the reports that we're issuing. And the last one I will do will be MDJ Yetter.
Mr. Vaughn has a question.
We have a question here from Mr.
Real quick, is this a repeat issue? Has this been pointed out in the prior?
Yes. Yeah, we note that in the report. That was that we had that in a prior audit, and he said basically the same thing then as he's saying now. So it remained unresolved at that time. I don't know if it'll end up being resolved this time. We'll note it again when we see them in 2 years if they're still doing it. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions on that issue?
I think that issue might want to pop up at the next Courts and Corrections meeting, so maybe we get an answer for the entire council. What do you guys think?
I agree, Kerry. I'm with that.
Can we have that as a footnote be sent to Courts and Corrections so we can get an answer when we have that meeting? Am I overstepping my boundaries, Madam President?
Well, if you're asking the chairman of finance,
Yeah,
the clerk's on the call here.
yeah.
I think the clerk sets that stuff up.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, the last one I will do will be MDJ Yetter. We had two findings there. The financial statements are fine, but we did have two internal control findings. First one has to do with stale dated checks. They're supposed to remit the stale dated checks on a timely basis to county, to revenue, or not revenue, I'm sorry, to fiscal affairs. And they hang on to them and escheat them at the proper time. And they were hanging on to them for a little bit too long here, so that became a finding. And then we also have another instance where we have voided receipts that are not, a few voided receipts that were not signed by the MDJ. Now, the only problem with this audit is that with this audit and the prior audit we did with MDJ Yetter, he challenges our authority to do audits of this nature. He seems to think that when we have findings, we should not be allowed to put them in an audit report because he considers that to be a performance audit, that he doesn't, a procedural audit, which he says is not a fiscal audit. But we point out to him, now we've done it last time and this time, that is not the case. We follow standards by the AICPA and the government auditing standards, and we cannot certify a financial statement if we don't look at the internal controls that produce those financial statements. And when we have findings, they go in the report. It's every auditor that does these types of audits does exactly the way we do it. So we had to point that out once again in this audit, that we are permitted to do the types of audits that we do. Again, just another bit of controversy and conflict between our office and an MDJ. Any questions on that?
I have a question. How long have you been doing these audits for the county? And excuse my ignorance on this.
Well, I've been with the county 28 years, and the MDJ audits have been done long before I started. So it's something that we have always done. It's required by the state law. We have to. I would have to say when that law was passed was when we started doing them.
So my comment then, I guess, is, we saw some things that weren't signed or initial, but the two pushback items, have you seen pushback like that in your 20-some years?
Yeah, I would have to say it's fairly rare. I'm surprised that I've got two of them on the docket all at once, and I don't believe that this, other than our situation with the MDJ Manwaring, which I think he disagreed with us the last time we did that audit on that one issue. He's not challenging our authority. He's just not agreeing with our conclusion. With regard to challenging our ability to do this, I think the MDJ editor is the one and only person who has ever said that or done that, and we're just going to continue to do the audits the way we've always done them, and we'll attach his response, because we always do attach a response or include a response in our audits, and we'll just state once again that we have the ability to do these audits, and in fact the requirement, the duty to do the audits exactly the way we do them.
And I understand the fact that everybody has a job to do and your job is to do the audits and.
Right.
these- Okay.
Right.
Mr. McGee,
Anybody
I'm
else
gonna
have
add
any
something
questions?
here. I think the question is that my office is doing what we are supposed to do as audit. I think the follow-up from here is to go, again, is the prior question where Mr. Myers and I think the solicitor see where these reports that we present to you regarding the MDJs, who needs to really adjust with the MDJs that they are supposed to do what the finding were. So I think that's where it's going to go from here.
Okay.
Mr.
I don't know
McGee,
if you agree with me or you disagree, but I think is that when we present our report, and especially now with the MDJs, is that where it's going to President Judge Corey, it's going somewhere else. I think that's where we need to proceed and give them this audit. I think forward these audits to them and say, listen, you need to follow what the audit requirements are. And I think the argument will stop there.
Mr. McGee,
Sure. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Basile. Mr. Myers has a question.
not a question, statement. Now, we just got back-to-back issues where we have magistrates doing their own thing. Is it not our job to be a check and balance for the county? And if it is, then it's up to us to make sure if there's a flaw in what this is, this needs to be projected to wherever we need to get it projected to, and maybe we can get some answers. Maybe they aren't being told about this. Maybe we should bring it up to their attention, and I think it needs to go back to my committee, and let's see what we can do about it. They can't run on their own. You know, they're responsible to the county like anybody else.
Everybody has a job to do. I agree. Everybody should do their job. That's right.
If we can ask Ms. Lembo, please make sure that we get this on the agenda for the next meeting and make sure that Mr. Green gets there, because that's the person we got to talk to. He can get us some answers, or maybe he can check it out, or maybe tell us mind our own business. All right.
Okay. Any other questions?
No other questions?
Does that
I have a
finish
question.
all the reports? Question? Sure.
I have a question. My question's for Mr. Spadoni. What would be the most appropriate action that we should take regarding this matter?
I was going to jump in. I had my hand up. This may be in the trade what may be known as the third rail of Northampton County politics.
Yeah.
I would be remiss to not advise council that any supervision, direction, or domain with the district justices is given to President Judge Corey through Court Administrator Green. What I would suggest, recognizing Mr. Myers is concerned, is that council be sure by correspondence through Linda that the reports from Mr. Sabino be given to Mr. Green. And if that doesn't solve the problem, then I think council can ask Mr. Green to appear before council. But frankly, once they get the report, I think the problem will be evaporated.
Yep, I agree.
I am not sure that I would have to check the distribution list on our. I know that you see that they are addressed to MDJ or to President Judge Corey. I think Mr. Green does get them, but I can't be sure because I don't have the distribution list in front of me. That might be something going forward that we could at least do is include. I know we can include Ms. French. If we don't include Mr. Green, we certainly can. So he would then get every MDJ audit as they are released.
Deborah French works for Court Administrator Green.
Right, and I know she gets them because she is the one who's directly in charge of monitoring the MDJs. That's why I'm not sure whether or not Mr. Green is on our distribution list, and if he's not, he certainly can be. We can add him so that he's always getting our reports as they are issued.
Is that satisfying, Mr. Our solicitor?
I think that's appropriate. I just want to be sure that I advise council that I would be exceptionally reluctant, if not to prohibit you from supervising or directing the magistrates. That might be
Yeah,
a,
yeah.
a bridge too far.
Yeah, that wasn't my point. I think more than anything else is accountability and to make sure we get accountability. Or are we not supposed to get accountability in anything like that?
That's why I think you should direct it from the clerk to the court administration office. And if that doesn't solve it, then it can become an issue to come back to council and we can consider it further.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
And as one coda, I just looked at our distribution list, which I was able to call up on my computer here, and Ms. French gets these reports, but Mr. Green does not. So we can add him to that, and maybe when he reads those, he will take it on himself to get involved and talk to the MDJs if there are issues like this. Like I said, these issues do not arise very frequently. So normally they are they respond as well as anybody else responds to our reports, and don't throw a challenge to us. So I'm not sure it's an ongoing problem that needs to be addressed, but maybe including Mr. Green in the distribution might help when they do occur.
I do agree with Mr. Spadoni did say that we'll take that first step, and then if this step doesn't work, then we'll move on to the next one. Any other questions for the Controller's Office reports?
Okay, well, thank you very much, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Okay, moving along. Next order of business is a discussion regarding the fiscal year 2020 Community Development Block Grant Annual Action Plan, which I guess it ended up in finance. I know I was on economic development. I think it used to come through there. So I didn't know if anybody from the administration would like to speak on this, or if we're just basically going to, it's discussion. So does anybody from the administration want to?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening. I'm just going to give you a little bit of a background for some of our newer council folks to kind of get you caught up. Community Development Block Grant, you will hear us refer to as CDBG. It's one of the longest running HUD programs in the country, and the purpose of the funds is to be used for local activities such as affordable housing, any anti-poverty programs, and any infrastructure needs. So just a little bit on that. It is the amount that we get annually is set on a formula basis, and our projects are always consistent with their 3 priorities, including the activities to benefit low mod income folks, address prevention of elimination of blight, and address urgent needs such as any kind of disasters. So this year, what you're going to be reviewing this evening is the fiscal year 2020. We have 31 projects that we're going to propose, which is over $2.2 million of funding, and to use an additional programming, which we'll also review, in the amount of $831,000 for our home in ESG. So just wanted to give you a little bit of overview. I'm going to introduce Frank Brooks from our office, who is going to get into a lot more detail. And if you have any specific project questions, we can address them now. But Frank's been doing this for probably the greater part of 30 years. So he is our own in-house HUD guru. So I'll introduce you to Frank now.
Hi, good evening, council members. Our community development program has never seen a year such as this. The pandemic really changed and challenged our process, and all of our agencies and municipalities were affected. All of our programs that use our senior volunteers came to a halt. Our department developed new partners. We found new ways and creative solutions to meet our residents' needs. We have heavy hearts as several of our senior volunteers and one of our food pantry directors succumbed to the virus. So we handled 46 applications submitted for funding. We were able to fast track 12 applications using CARES Act funds to address these urgent needs. 3 applications were referred to other county agencies for funding, and we have 31 applications for your review today. Let me
Excuse me, Mr. McGee.
screen. There we go.
Please.
I don't have the attachment with the, does anyone have the?
I don't have the
attachment?
attachment either.
For the PowerPoint?
Yeah.
No, he said there's 31 grantees.
It was emailed today.
Okay, usually there's a
Part of
list.
the presentation?
We received the list today and it was emailed out as soon as we received it.
Question, Mr. Lott.
Yeah, I was I'm not on this committee. I am on economic, I'm the chair of economic committee. I was kind of surprised this economic committee, it wasn't brought to my committee first. That being said, no big deal. We move this thing forward. Another issue is us all getting this stuff at 1:30, this actual sheet, but I was told it was actually sent out Friday ahead of time, but this sheet that we're looking at the numbers, I don't know if that was. But anyway, all that being said, my question to Frank would be, there was most of the 31 grants were funded in total. There was 5 or 6 that were not funded in total. Most of them were real close, like one was $1,000 less, but there was 2 of them that were substantially a third less than they asked for, and one was almost half less than they asked for. So I was just wondering how we decide, what is the criteria when we don't give them, being that so many were given what they asked for, how do we pick on these 5 that didn't get what they asked for? I'm asking about procedure.
Right. Councilmember, we also share a partnership with the city of Easton, who gives us a tremendous amount of applications in this particular process. We make a good faith effort. We use to maximize as many other grant opportunities. We look at their budgets. We look at their applications. We have a vigorous review committee involved in that. So we make the best choices we feel and the best recommendations with the level of funding that we've had. It's a little different this year because of the amount of CARES Act funding. We're able to take out 12 applications really quickly. So I think we're very generous. We have a very small entitlement. We don't have the largest entitlement of all the other surrounding areas. So we have to be very creative. We have to use other funding. So we make the best use of the funding that's available. We look into some of our state funding partners and programs, and we look at other agencies, what their real needs are to come up with a realistic budget using our scarce resources.
Thank you very much. I guess I have to go by your expertise. You've been doing it so long, but it seems like 2 boroughs that have one ask got hit pretty hard from their ask. And like you said, there's other places that have several asks and they weren't reduced at all. But I will go with your expertise. You've been doing this for a long time, a lot longer than me. So it just kind of jumped at me that 2 boroughs got whacked so hard and nobody else did. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
I have a question also about the process. Were there not in the past 2 council members part of this review board to review the
That would be a
grants?
question for economic development.
Right.
Well, I'll answer that. I was not told about this, so I don't see how we could have put council people on this time when I wasn't in the loop as chairman, so.
In the past, I think that's accurate, though. I think there were at least 2 people who were on a committee to decide this.
No,
Right.
we've never had a committee for CDBG. You're thinking of hotel tax.
Yeah.
Oh, so is that the
Right.
SIP grant?
This
These
is
are-
all, yeah, this is all federal money. What you're thinking of is the hotel tax committee.
Thank you for the clarification. I was confused. Thank you.
I appreciate that too. Thank you.
The only other thing, I'm sure there's a timeline for this, and I'm sure there's got to be qualifications that they must meet.
Correct, council members. We have very rigorous HUD regulations. We have census tract areas. We have benefits to low mod income level residents. So we have a very selective criteria that meets, and we have to make sure.
Does demographics have something to do with this?
Yes, they do.
To do with it, apparently. Okay. Is there any other questions? I don't know if they can distribute. So the email went out with that, with everything on it. Some of us saw it, some of us didn't.
But
Question.
is there a timeliness to this, or do we have time to wait to approve this?
That's probably for Mr.
Brooks.
Frank.
Right. Yeah, we have a timeliness issue with this. We also have done public documentations and public hearings already scheduled on this. We've had all the grantees already been weighing in, and the residents have already on this. So we have a pretty tight timeline, and we're moving forward as quickly as we can on this.
Which is why Ms. Zembo suggested that we bring it to this committee, Mr. Lott, because of issue of timeliness.
Thank you.
Mr. Kusick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of questions specifically on the awards. I'm looking at Section 2, Administration Planning. For the Eastern Redevelopment Authority, I see $140,000 for program administration. What is that going towards? Salaries? I thought we were the program administrator.
Our joint venture with the city of Easton allows them to ask for money to run their redevelopment authority. And that's the CDBG money that their share of the award is.
Well, again, is that paying for someone's salary? Is that where it goes? That seems like a lot of money.
It pays for their activities and their salaries, yes.
Okay. Then while I'm going through the list, there were a couple of other that caught my eye. Under public services, Easton Crime Prevention, what specific crime prevention programs are we talking about?
And there's a crime prevention program that the city of Easton is sponsoring in the West Ward. They're looking at security items in which they're trying to reduce some of the crime because of the recent occurrences there.
Okay. And then the last one was under public services, a public health initiative under the Department of Human Services, $50,000. Is that related to the pandemic?
Well, we use that also for our wellness campaign. We do Pap and breast cancer screenings for women. We do also very early infants and children, and we also do programs with our senior citizens with that.
Okay. And then just one last point. I know in the past we've funded Miracle League out of the regular budget, and I'm glad to see it included as part of the CDBG program. It's a wonderful opportunity for kids who don't get the opportunity that a lot of other children do. So thank you very much, and that's all my questions.
Okay. Any other questions? Motion to move to tonight's full council meeting.
Motion.
Okay. So moved. Moving on. Thank you very much for all the questions and for the information. Are you finished with your PowerPoint? It looks like you're only on slide 2.
I think we covered also slide 3. I'll be happy to share that with you. But
Okay.
it's just
I didn't
going over
want
the
to
various
freak out.
categories. Yeah, we kind of dove into it very quickly, and we did all the numbers and everything else in the allocation. So Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving along. Gifts to Graysdale. This is our next resolution. And it is before you. We are looking to accept from an anonymous donor a gift of $1,753.52. Can we, any discussion on this resolution? I guess I'll read. I can read-
No, motion to move forward to tonight.
Okay, so pretty much just summarized it. It's county gifts for real property to provide for acceptance of any. Again, it's $1,753.52 being donated. Some iPads and some technology so the folks at Graysdale can communicate with their family members, and it's donated by an anonymous donor. Okay, so that was a motion to move. Ms. Fargo Hafner?
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we have a discussion regarding a donation to the Northampton County Emergency Management. Donation of $40,000. From the Buzzy SPA, a global corporation, would like to donate $40,000 to the Northampton County Emergency Management Service. Any discussion? A motion to move?
I just find
So
it
moved.
interesting. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just saw a hand, but go ahead and finish your comment, Ms. Zirinsky.
No, I just find it to be an interesting and timely donation, since our conservation districts and our karst geology topography committee or advisory council has been in discussion with Boozy Unisem about holding them accountable for the dewatering events in the Bushkill Creek. We've had 2 meetings with them so far, and I've been present at both of those meetings, and I definitely want to work with them, but I find it interesting that this gift comes kind of out of the blue. I don't think we've ever received a gift from them before, or is there any history there? I know they do have a lot of community involvement, but
I'm sure Mr. Weaver could probably answer that question for you, or someone from the administration, but I don't have that answer. We can find that out. Oh, here comes Mr. Barron.
Yeah, we have received donations from them in the past. Usually, this one specifically was because of fire prevention and certain services that our EMS does for them, and they wanted to donate back. So this was related to services that EMS had done with them previously, and there has been a relationship with them for a long time with EMS.
very good. I just wanted to make that point because I don't want there to be any sort of quid pro quo, you know, or be beholden in any way. It's a rather large gift. Do we know how this gift will be used?
There's an attachment with it.
Oh, sorry.
It was dated December 22nd.
Right, I see it. I don't believe that it.
You're looking at the coronavirus mentioned in here.
Right. But it doesn't have any specific, I mean, it's just a global gift that can be designated for any purpose within emergency management services, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's what it seems like it's going to.
Significant effort to alleviate the consequences of COVID-19 outbreak in the individuals and families in our communities.
Yeah, pretty general.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Lott had his hand up and then Mr. Kusick.
Thank you, Mr. McGee. Real quick, Tara covered most of it. I just wanted to make sure we knew who this person was, or this corporation donating the money was, that we've been dealing with them, which she covered that more detail than I would have. And the other thing is, hey, thank you to the company. That's it. Thank you. Tara pretty much covered what I was trying to get at.
Thank you. Mr. Kusick.
I would characterize this as somewhat unusual. I can't remember such a donation towards the county EMS during my time here. I would think it would be more appropriately directed towards volunteer fire and ambulances in the municipalities where they do business. So I would accept it, but I believe that it should be redirected towards local volunteer fire and EMS that are in and around where they have their operations.
Ms. Zirinsky,
Do we
question.
have, sorry, thank you. Do we have the ability to designate where this money specifically goes? Because I know that would be then Tatamy or Stockertown or those areas.
I think we'd have to amend the resolution. That's my guess now.
But is this also their intention that it just goes to Northampton County Emergency Management? And are we overstepping our bounds in some way and designating a gift to a specific location when that's not the intention? So I'm just trying to be clear. If we can do that, it does make sense because those areas are the most impacted by boozy and
I see the county executive stepped up maybe to help us navigate through this.
Yeah, so Mr. Barron informs me that the county has in the past received gifts from this company. And generally speaking, those gifts are in the form of some type of product that they have an excess of that emergency management can make use of throughout the county. So this time, for whatever reason, they've chosen to make the cash gift. I hear what Councilwoman Zirinsky is saying. I have some of those concerns as well. But what I'm not concerned about is her being influenced by this at all. And nor am I concerned about any of the people who are working with you in those endeavors, including Mr. Mauser and Mr. Cope, and they'll always put the environment first. And I don't anticipate any of your colleagues or this administration being untowardly influenced by this donation to emergency management. And I would simply say this: emergency management has been doing a lot of extra work in the previous year trying to crush the pandemic in Northampton County, including helping us set up with Operation Barbecue, that food distribution program that we did all over Northampton County. They helped us establish and continue to help us work our collaborative COVID-19 vaccination site. EMS is doing that. EMS supported the state when it brought in its 6 days of action to do coronavirus testing at the Park and Ride in 33 in advance of what we hope is going to be a mass vaccination site, which EMS will be supporting. So, I mean, our $40,000 will be used. This $40,000 could be used and maybe already has been spent in trying to crush the pandemic. So while I hear your ethical concerns and while I share them, I don't think this august body will allow $40,000 in a $454 million budget influence any decisions you make about the stream. I am also very concerned about their lightning strikes killing all those fish, it seems like every 6 months. And we'll keep supporting you, at least morally, and maybe more than morally in the future, and trying to get that figured out. But I don't think you turn this gift away because of those concerns, even though I think they're valid.
I appreciate that. I just wanted to draw the attention to it, that would not be something that would sway my opinion one way or the other, even though it is a valuable, obviously it has value to it, and it will be useful to the emergency management. I would like to know how it is specifically designated, and I think that you articulated that very well.
I think it can be moved around that org. I don't think it's going to be for any particular purpose. And at some point we may need some more money for PPE, for example. So, but you'll have a full accounting. We'll have Mr. Weaver come forward and give you a full accounting what they do with it. Just so there's a high degree of transparency here because of the issue, the very valid issue you raised.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McClure. Ms. Fargo Hefner, did you have your hand up?
No, I would just propose to move it forward again if everyone's had a full discussion, if everyone's amenable.
Okay, is there any other comments or questions? If not, motion to move forward. Ms. Fargo Hefner? So moved. Next, on the agenda, we have a discussion regarding Article 13 contract, Mazzetti and Sullivan. And that is in front of you. And it is rather thick. And it has to do with the employee assistance program that I think they found somebody to handle this program for us. And someone from the, oh, hi. Hi, Ms. Briggs.
Good afternoon, everyone. So in front of you, as Mr. McGee said, you have a recommendation to award the RFP for employee assistance program to Mazzetti and Sullivan. They are the incumbent, and we've worked with them since 2017. Been providing great customer service, not only to my department and human resources, but to supervisors throughout the county and also employees. So I do have Mr. Chuck Mazzetti on Zoom. He's here to answer any of your questions and, just give a brief rundown of what services they offer us.
Okay. Please do.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I would like to tell you quickly what we're looking at in regards to this contract. I want to say we're delighted that you've been partners with us since 2017, and we're looking forward to the possibility that we will continue. We have been doing this work for 38 years, and we currently work with 59 of the Pennsylvania counties and county-related entities. So we understand county government, we understand county government employees, and I think we are in a better position than anybody else to provide these services. The services that we provide, when you look at them, the primary feature is counseling, but these things have evolved over the years, and I got to tell you, with the challenges that we have given the past year in terms of stress, anxiety, depression, we've seen a 400% increase in suicide thoughts, suicide attempts. People are financially in trouble. People are emotionally spent. Relationships and families are stretched. We're getting a tremendous increase in the number of calls from nursing homes, from school districts, and from government employees. I've spent an awful lot of time doing training in the past 6-7 months with counties on how to deal with the secondary traumatic stress that their employees are feeling. And it's both been on the court side as well as the council side. So it's employees from all departments across the board. The program that we would like to put in place is expansive. What it means is this: we're providing three counseling services for every covered employee and every member of their household. What that means is this: if somebody and their partner would want to go for counseling, they could go for 6 sessions. If they want to take a family of 4, they could go for 12 sessions. No cost. What this does is eliminates the pressure on your health insurance. Because by using the services through the EAP, that means that people don't have to go out and try to find a mental health provider. They don't have to try and figure out who the best one might be. We have one of the most comprehensive networks, probably the most comprehensive network in the state of Pennsylvania, given the breadth of our work. We have at least 9 different practices right in Easton, and I know that we have over 200 therapists within 25 miles of the county seat. So we have the area blanketed. Your employees have a great number of choices that they can use. And the thing is this: those sessions are not just available once a year. They can come back and use them again and use them again. If they have problems here in the end of January, the beginning of February, we send them to see a therapist. These days, they have all of the options they could go in person if the counselors are willing to see them, or they can do like we do here on Hollywood Squares. We have virtual programs platforms that we put in place back in 2019. So when the pandemic hit and everything shut down, we didn't miss a beat. Our counselors across the country were still able to see patients without having to worry about shutting down an office and trying to figure out how to do the online stuff, because we already had it established. So those services are the core of what we do. The other half of what we do, because of our history and familiarity with county government, our staff is well versed in working with your team and your managers, your department heads, and yes, commissioners and council people across the Commonwealth. So a long history, 30 years of working with county government. We're very proud of that. We've seen many different administrations. We've seen a lot of challenges and a lot of changes in the counties over the years. But one thing's always the same. People are people. They have the same problems no matter which end of the state you go to. If it's here, Pittsburgh, Erie, Scranton, Susquehanna County, Forest County, where they only have 147 employees. All different sizes, but still some of the same issues. And we take great pride in delivering customer service that is second to none. Now, anybody can say that, but honestly, I have built this business over 38 years on relationships. And if you folks come to a CCAP conference or a CCAP training, there's a good chance that I'll see you there. And we can chat about how are you? How you doing? How's your family? How are things in the county? And for us, that means a lot. That means a lot. So those are the basic cores. We support your staff. We support your employees and their families. And we provide unlimited resources on our website. We have a section where your employees or staff or family members can go, and there are over 20,000 different listings where they can find help for, oh my word, almost an endless variety of things. That in a nutshell. I don't want to take too much of your time, but any questions?
Ms. Fargo Hefner has her hand raised, please.
Yes.
I just want, after the, did you say it's 3 per person or 3? So it's 3 sessions per incident?
3, yeah, well, per person per incident.
So post those 3, then do you make referral for longer term care if necessary?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
And so you have a network of people that you refer to external to?
We do. There are more than 3,500 people that we can refer to, and that doesn't include all the community resources that may be available and might be helpful as well. Plus any other things that we have that we can offer in terms of literature and documents and websites and all the other things that we can we can help people with. One of the things that I think as a good follow-up, that's a great question, is this. Our experience is that 85 to 90% of your employees don't require any help beyond the number of sessions that they get, because one of the first things we try to do is when they call us, we get a lot of information. And if they say, I'm calling because I want to see a counselor, we try to match them with a counselor that specializes in exactly their issue. That way they're not hunting around trying to find who's good. And we know who does the best work in Northampton County. We know who does the best work in Bucks County, Chester County, Lancaster County, and we send our clients to the same places that we'd want to go. I'm going to send your employees where I would send my own family. We want the best results for them. So yeah, 85, 90% of the time, they don't go beyond it. And if they do, it's almost always just for a few outpatient sessions. So that's a good thing. I got to tell you something. Some of these programs that do what we do try to shuffle people into their insurance plan so they don't have to pay for the EAP services. And that's just wrong.
Thank you. Is that all? Mr. Cusick, next.
Real quick, I just want to thank you for your long-term support with CCAP. We do see you there at every meeting, and hopefully this summer we'll get a chance to have another one. Yeah, I appreciate the work you do. Thank you for your long support and association with CCAP. And I look forward to keeping you on board here in Northampton County. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman. I appreciate that support. And hopefully we can get out there and get to that conference, maybe even play some golf.
Question for you. I'm just looking at your employee benefits. Number 10 is a monthly newsletter, which I'm sure you've already been providing the employees, correct?
Yes, sir.
Because you were the incumbent. And
Yes.
Also the number 3, the EAP orientation session. Now, is that part of the 3 sessions, or is that like a preliminary proactive? You know where I'm at on?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Great.
Here's the newsletters. There are 2 different newsletters. There's one for employees and there's one for supervisors and managers. So you're getting 2 newsletters every single month, and they're electronic, and they can be put out to your employees via the internet. The other thing is those newsletters are also available in Spanish if you have Spanish-speaking employees. So that's that. The orientation sessions, we will come to Northampton County as many times as you want us to host orientation centers or sessions for your employees or for your managers and supervisors, so that they understand this benefit, so that they can take a look at us and say, oh, these are the people that are running this program. These are the folks when I call that are going to answer the phone. And you know what? It builds some confidence, it builds some trust. And what drives good utilization for an employee assistance program is publicity, promotion, and education. And those 3 things have to be ongoing. So there's no limit to how many times you can request us to come and talk to your staff.
Yep. And the reason I'm asking that, and also the 3 visits, is, I mean, the price is the price. Whether they utilize it or not, we lose it or use it or lose it, we're going to pay for it. So
exactly.
Not that they have to go and make, okay, gotcha. All right. Proactive stuff's good. And thank you very much. That's all I had for questions, but I don't know if anybody else does. Any other questions, Ms. Fargo Hefner?
One more. Can you explain your relationship to Pyramid Healthcare?
Pyramid Healthcare owns our company. Pyramid Healthcare bought our company in 2016. Pyramid Healthcare mostly does drug and alcohol rehabilitation. They own about 100 facilities in 7 states. The one thing that's different from everything else that they do is the fact that they also own Mazzetti and Sullivan EAP. We also had 5 rehabilitation clinics, drug and alcohol, mental health. that we sold to Pyramid. And I said, you could just let me keep the EAP and you could just have the clinics. And they said, oh no, we want that too, or no deal. So they bought the whole thing, but you know what? They kept me. They asked me to stay and run the EAP because they don't understand it. And quite honestly, it works. It does really well. We've been growing phenomenally. We signed a contract with Capital Blue Cross 2.5 years ago. They ask us to provide, and they pay for, employee assistance program services for all of their mid and small companies. At this point, I think we're working with 5,000 companies covered by Capital Blue Cross.
So if you get a drug and alcohol client, do you only refer them directly to Pyramid?
Not necessarily. You've got lots of, we work with everybody, and Pyramid, I think, also has good relationships with a lot of the providers. I started out back in 1979 as a drug and alcohol therapist. I know just about everybody in the state in terms of rehabilitation services, rehabs, outpatient clinics, IOPs, all of that stuff. Known them forever. They probably think I'm a ghost at this point. But anyway, we don't hesitate to say, you know what, we're going to send you to Cairn Foundation because that's a good match and it's close by to where you live. Now, do we ask? We give people choices, so that's the deal there.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for your presentation. And at this time, I'm looking for a motion to move to full council.
Motion.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kusick. And with that, a motion to, unless anybody else has anything for the order of Finance Committee, motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Moved, okay. All right, so moved. Back to Clerk Zembo. Are we going to take a break before we go to the next committee?
Yes, we're going to be taking a break and coming back on the second call.
Thank you. Thank you, Ed.
What's our time?
Thank you all.
15 minutes.
5 o'clock.
Again.
And